Instagram. Why are we moving slow? There it is. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are here live today with the Boca Photo Summit Meet the Speakers with Sal Cincotta. So I'm actually going to bring Sal to the stage now so we can see Sal. What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Good. How are you, Andre?
Good, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time, you hopping on. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to, come in and jump in. When you guys get in, be sure you come into the chat, drop your names in, let us know where you're from, and be sure that you all are engaging in conversation while we're here because I think Sal knows this, but we're actually going to give away a ticket to the Boca Photo Summit today. Sponsored by Intuition. So, and also, if you guys are using Intuition, drop a thumbs up in the chat so we can see the products. I've been using Intuition since I found them in 15 or 16 at Shutterfest, and great product, great company, and I've been. Be sure you guys chime in.
So, Andre, before we move forward, I feel like there's a point of clarification. Now, is it Boca Academy or is it K Academy? I mean, people get worked up if you say the word the wrong way.
Right. If you say it the wrong way, then it's complete anarchy. But it's Boca Academy, people. It's
Okay.
Boca Academy.
All right, just making sure, man.
Right. We got to be sure that we're on the same page,
Yeah.
And just so y'all know that it's Boca Academy, I'm letting you true story. I put true story at the end.
You got to put true story. That makes it true. No matter what's said,
true.
it's true.
Right.
Okay.
Right. 100%. Pigs fly. That's true. What's going on, everybody? Let's see. Jay Banks, you're in Atlanta. Michael, what's going on? Michael says, I love giveaways. Of course, people love free shit, unfortunately. But I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to jump in. But, I'm really excited for the upcoming Boca Summit. I appreciate you for, taking the time and actually wanting to come on. It was so funny. I'm texting back and forth with the team about, the intuition inclusion in the show, and I get a message that says Sal wants to speak at the conference. I was like, laugh out loud, whatever, blah blah blah. Then I get the reply back, like, no, I'm serious. I was like, oh shit, you serious?
Yeah, you thought I was kidding, but no, I want to be part of it. I think it's a really cool event, and I don't speak at too many other events outside of Shutterfest, but I love what you're doing. I love the lineup you got. There's a really strong lineup that's going to be there in Atlanta. I'm excited just to be on the docket with those guys. But Andre, when I'm doing an event like Shutterfest, I'm so focused on producing an event, I don't get to actually enjoy being there and being an instructor. So I'm actually excited to be at your event where you could lose even more hair and you can stress with running your fucking event, and I can just be a speaker running free, having fun.
Oh man, that's so funny, man, because it's everybody that I've talked to just along the way, they're like, dude, like, one, how do you find time to like put on a conference, right, with everything else that you got going on? But two, like, isn't it stressful? And every time I said, I always knocked on wood. I was like, nah, it's been good so far. Don't
Jinx yourself, man.
Jinx myself. Apparently, it is not true because nobody ever said knock on wood would help. So, yeah, I should have waited for true story about that one. But no, man, like I'm super excited. I'm more excited too because this is, especially with you being at the conference, is full circle for me. Shutterfest was my first conference. I decided that I was going to be a photographer. I found you on Creative Live, and it was talk about Shutterfest. Shutterfest was like maybe a month away at that point, and I was like, I guess I'm going to St. Louis, right? So I go out there, it's late registration, so I'm staying at the doomed ballpark, right? Or you gotta walk or take the trolley, which I wasn't privy to the trolley at first. So I walked to get there the first day.
It's
And let me tell
ambitious.
you, it's a mile. You like, oh, it's a mile. Oh, okay, cool. It's not even a mile, but with gear, it's like
Oh yeah,
6 miles, you know?
exactly.
Um, but that was 2015. Fast forward 2019, first speaking gig was Shutterfest. So,
That's awesome,
you know,
man.
I appreciate you all for having me. You guys include me in basically everything that you guys got going on. So I must be doing something right, right?
Well,
And
we believe in you. That's for sure.
I appreciate it, man. So it looks like we got a fair amount of people in. So let's dive in. Let's talk about Sal, right? A lot of us have found you on other platforms, Creative Live, your YouTube channel, which is like, going crazy, right? And I've had the pleasure of seeing you just work in Iceland, things like that. But I will say one of my favorite chances of seeing you work was at Shutterfest last year, um, in the extreme with the different lighting setups and just like moving fat. Like, how the hell does all of this stuff go on in the brain?
I love the question. Nobody had really asked me about Sal. This is good. So now there's no telling where this conversation will go. Um, so when I got started, and I'm going to preface this with true story. When I got started in photography, it was really, I think I was a better business person than I was an actual photographer. If we go back, you know, I've been doing this 17 years as a working professional. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around that sometimes. But those memories pop up in Facebook, and I see myself with a lot more hair, darker eyebrows. I was definitely a lot younger. But I've been doing this for 17 years as a working professional. So learned a lot. I've seen a lot. I've pissed a lot of people off, right? Made a lot of people happy. And it's just, I think it's all part of it's part of the journey. But in the very beginning, I was a much better business person, which makes sense. I went to school for business. I didn't go to school for art. Then I was an actual photographer. And I got into photography just like everybody else. We love it. We love creating. We love doing. And in the beginning, you're just excited about everything, right? I mean, I was like, I've shot babies, right? Tweens, teens, weddings, engagements, pets. And I tried everything because I wanted to make money and I wanted to find what I loved. And I will never forget, this is a side story. I, um, I was photographing pet photography. I was at a pet 1 year party. It's a true story. I was at a pet 1 year photography, and I'm sitting here in some lady's backyard. I think I got paid like $200. It was early on in my career, and I'm chasing fucking puppies and dogs around with a puppy cake, and I get it. People love their animals, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love dogs, but I was like, if this is the rest of my fucking career, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, we got to figure this out really quickly. And anyway, that was just a side story. So what I realized early on was that if I wanted my work to stand out and not just be a guy, a girl with a camera, what I really needed to do was learn how to use lighting and posing to separate my brand.
Right.
And so I don't know what year that was, but it was definitely earlier on in my career. And that's when I really started doing things with like off camera flash and creating these big dramatic portraits that I'm known for, right? And that I've watched photographers over the years try to emulate my style. And I'm always so humbled when I see that because I love it. I never feel like, oh, you're just ripping me off. No, I love it. That's why I teach. I want people to find their rhythm, find their own success. And if I've already done it, why do you have to reinvent the wheel? Go figure it out, right? Put your spin on it. But lighting to me is so important. And that's the class you're referring to, where it was advanced lighting. where you're watching my brain just like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I get into this like creation mode. And that excites me. That excites me more than anything you can imagine, because how do you take what's in your head, what you've seen maybe in a movie or a TV show, and how do you bring that to light and make a portrait? Not just make a portrait, but make a saleable portrait, because I think that's an important distinction. You have to be able to sell what you create. Not always, right? We do things for the love of art, but hey,
Right.
I love money. Money buys a lot of happiness for people. And I want to be happy and I want money. And then you can go do all the artsy shit you want to do. So there's kind of
Right.
the backstory of all that.
Yeah, man. Like, and again, last year I had the opportunity to be on the creator series, which I said before I went, I was like, as a matter of fact, when season one happened, I was like, I don't know how the fuck these people are doing this shit. Like, I would lose my mind. Second year, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, right? But everybody knows, I talk about it all the time. I'm a slower, methodical shooter, right? So
Uh huh.
like, that 10-minute time crunch is crazy, but I always think about the few times that I've like seen you work, again, Iceland, and then at the end of your class, because my class was after yours. So I'm in the room figuring out presentation, being sure all of that stuff is on point, right? So I missed a lot of it, but just to be able to see you move so quickly, and the ability to be able to pivot quickly, I think is crucial, as being a photographer. Now, through my growth in knowing who you are throughout the process, I've learned of you as a wedding photographer. Over the past few years, it seems like it shifted more to portraits. Would you say?
Yeah, it's that's 100% true statement. I think so. COVID, I feel like changed a lot for all of us, right? A majority of my business prior to COVID was weddings and high school seniors. And then in there was mixed, just like all of us, headshots here, family portraits there. But if I looked at my bottom line, what would end up happening on the bottom line, business bottom line, it'd always be about 70%, 80% of the revenue is coming from um, seniors or weddings. That's where it's coming from. And that's fine. Now COVID hits, right? Kids aren't in school anymore. Weddings, I mean, came to a screeching halt. So I had a decision to make, right? I'm not going to fold up shop. I'm not going to, go cry to sleep. Maybe some nights you do that, but you got to solve the problem, right? You got a problem in front of you. What's our pivot? What's our adjustment? And that adjustment for us was to more portrait studio work to offset that. Now, turns out I fucking love it. Right. So, I mean, I know we're known for weddings and all that other stuff, but I'm 54, man. Been doing this for 17 years now. I think about like, do I want to be 60 years old rolling around in the middle of the street yelling at some, drunk bridal party? It's not on my master plan. And so portraits felt like, for me, something that I could control a little bit better, where I could control volume better. I can control, just the marketing of it a little bit better. The sales cycle is shorter for portraits. The intensity is a little bit easier for portraits, right? You screw up a wedding day, you fucked up a lot of people's lives, right? There's no getting that back. So there's a lot of pressure. You fuck up a portrait session, yeah, nobody's happy, but I could reshoot it, you know? Um, and that's never our goal, but that's just the reality of it. And not to mention just the overall wear and tear, on your body. I mean, I know I'm watching names in the group and I see a lot of wedding photographers. You know what I'm talking about, man. That Sunday morning, that first step out of bed, whew, that's painful.
It's funny because the last year is the first time I'm feeling like the effects of that. Like, I'm at the wedding, by the end of the night, my feet hurt. I'm like, am I getting old? Like, what the
Yes,
hell,
you are.
right? Yeah. I didn't have all of these pains and stuff like that before. And real quick shout out to Miguel Quiles. I see him in the chat. He's one of the speakers that'll be with us at the Boca Photo Summit as well. So thanks for joining us, bro. Now, in terms of advanced studio lighting, right? Are there any particular tools that are like your go-to? And be sure you guys chime in with questions, because again, we are doing a giveaway of a free seat. I will be pulling those names from people that interact, that ask questions, not just random stuff. Marvin, if you're in here, I know how you do, bro. You just say random
Yeah,
shit.
you can't. Marvin can't win the prize. Marvin just randomly talks. I feel like Marvin maybe goes to Chat GPT and does things. So you can't trust Marvin.
But are there any particular lights, or that you are like, these are my go-to, or these are must-haves with getting started?
Yeah. So one of the things that we'll be covering and teaching is uh, continuous lights. So as I've made this move, I still use strobes. I do use strobes for a lot of work, but I'm finding that, especially with boudoir photography, I really, really like continuous lights. That is something that we're moving towards, and we're moving in heavily into boudoir photography. So a lot of what I'll be teaching and doing is going to be showcasing general studio portraits. So that could be for high school seniors or families, but we're also going to be showing it from the perspective of like fashion beauty work with a slant on, boudoir. Okay, all that being said, the biggest move I'm making is into continuous lights. I find that the ability to have RGB, just colors, right? Instead of gels, and have the ability to just control the light with what you see is what you get. I find that very, very empowering. B, it gives you confidence as a photographer that you can move quickly, right? Especially when it comes to boudoir. If we just stick with boudoir for 1 second, boudoir photography, you've got this really weird situation, right? You've got this dynamic. Whoever your client is in front of the camera, depending on the type of boudoir photography you're offering, you could have people fully nude, semi-nude, or just even in lingerie. But no matter what is the client's doing in front of you, they are in a very precarious situation, if you will, because I just met that client, right? And now they're half naked in front of me. And if all I'm doing is dicking around in the back of my camera or fussing with lighting settings and gels and trying to get things dialed in, what ends up happening is your client starts feeling uncomfortable. They lose their confidence, right? And it's this ripple effect. So I have found that continuous lighting really allows me to move quickly with a what you see is what you get approach. And the tools have become so good now with continuous light that you're not just blasting like some Home Depot fucking shop lights in there. You've got a lot of lighting control and shaping options that maybe weren't all there 4 years ago or 5 years ago. So Nanlite is a tool I absolutely love for this, and so I'm really amped up, as you can tell, about that.
Yeah, I mean, my whole setup here is Nanlite. So it's a 150. This is a 500 in front. These are all pavo tubes and like a bulb, right? So I went all in on Nanlite. I've been, like you said, the ability to be able to just kind of, what you see is what you get, especially like with the pavo tubes, like the larger pavo tubes,
Yeah.
has been crazy. So we have a few questions we want to dive into. Let me go. I saw another one that
I
I
see one
really
from Chris. I'm going to take that one first.
cool.
You find them. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Is this built into the tool? You just click a button and that pops up like that?
Magic.
That is fucking magic. I like it. All right. Sal has made changes to his business. Where does he see the state of the industry as a whole going? You know what's funny? I was just speaking recently, and I was talking to a couple of boudoir photographers who have been boudoir photographers for years, and they're all getting bent out of shape now that everyone's becoming a boudoir photographer. Hey, well, welcome to the fucking party. How do you think us wedding photographers felt when everyone was becoming a wedding photographer? So, you know, I think what's going to end up happening with our industry, right? So rewind. When I started, I've told the story a million times. I photographed my first wedding at about 16 or 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
And my aunt turned me on to photography. I got the bug for it, but coming from an immigrant family, my family's half Italian, half Lebanese. This idea of being an artist was just not there, right? You're going to college, you're going to go to school, you're going to be the first one to graduate, you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever you're going to be. Okay. What ends up happening is you get into this industry 17 years ago. It was the beginning of the transition from digital to film, and or from film to digital, I should say. The old guard let it go. The old guard was very resistant to digital. They didn't like it, right? It was a very male-dominated industry because it was technical and it was overly complex for no fucking reason. Camera companies come in, we get moved to digital, things become easier, workflows change. The darkroom is no longer a true darkroom. It's your digital darkroom. It's things like Lightroom, Photoshop. Okay, so there's this shift. Now you see an influx of female photographers, younger photographers. Old guard resist. They're like, nope, you're no good. There's this condescending attitude towards female photographers that are coming on board. Hold on, I'm going to murder my team. I don't know if you can hear all the dinging. So, so there's this shift then, and all the old guard, a lot of them who don't make that shift go out of business. They really do. They close up shop. They can't compete. They don't understand the digital age. They don't understand social media. They don't understand content creation, et cetera, et cetera. This current crop of photographers, probably most Shutterfesters, most people in this chat, they weren't here that 17, 20 years ago to see that the first time. So you're seeing this shift now again, where there's this merging of photography. Now everything's mirrorless. Now you've got constant light. So flash photography is kind of, I don't want to say flash photography is ever going to fully go away, but you're seeing this kind of move into continuous. You're now seeing this concept of everyone wants to be an influencer. So this is really interesting, in my opinion, from the business side of photography. Everyone wants to be an influencer. What does that mean? If I book a bride today, she's not only hiring me to photograph and document her day, she wants reels of her wedding day. She wants to look and feel like a celebrity on her wedding day. We didn't have this problem 10 years ago. That's not what they wanted. In fact, you'd get bride and grooms that would hire you and they didn't want to even see you. They wanted you in the back corner somewhere, not bothering them, right? That's not the case today. That vibe, if you will, has completely changed. Now look at what's happening with kids today. Gen Z, long answer to the question, Chris. Gen Z, that's our future bride. That's our future client. And so we have to understand that we as photographers have to adjust in order to win that business, or in 5 years, 10 years, we won't have a business. And so I think the shift has to be for you as a photographer, specifically to Chris's question, you have to continue to innovate and adapt. And all that means is, right, what are trends that are out there? A perfect case in point on a trend is flash on camera. Have you seen this trend, Andre?
Yeah, like the paparazzi look.
It's that paparazzi look, right? That is a real trend that is going on. Will that be here in 2 years? Probably not. But clients want that look and feel. So we can't just go, I'm not doing that. I'm an artist. We don't do that stuff. Like, that's bullshit. If you want to survive as a business owner and make money long term, you just need to find ways to incorporate all this kind of stuff. And that, for me, right, I'm, again, 17 years into this. I don't know that I'll make 30 years into this, but I know if I want to be here for the next 5 years, I've got to have a brand, a look, not a look,
right,
me as a person, right? I'm not that fucking guy who's a hipster. I got the, the mustache, the rim hat, and the skinny jeans. That's not me. I'm talking about a look in our imagery that makes clients go, that's hip, that's now, that's something I want to be part of. Whatever the term is, right? I need to make sure my brand appeals to that. And that's going to require me to constantly look at the way I light things, constantly look at my posing, constantly look at the way I'm editing things. I think those three things shape the look and feel of your brand. And if you want to stand out, you have to constantly be pushing towards that. So I think I answered Chris's question. Sorry.
And let me pop in for 1 second. I think that too, especially separating yourself in terms of like learning light, right? Because right now, AI is taking over. They're doing all of the editing and stuff. So the base of it, the quality of edit, unless you're sitting down and you're doing frequency separation, everybody's going to be the same on that plane, right?
That's right.
You know, Evoto, everybody's going to be Evoto, and it saves us time, it saves us money. So the gap between you and the next person is the person that's just like, I'm just going to front light everything or whatever, not create any depth in the scene, not add any additional color to make my stuff look different,
That's right.
just proper exposure. And I'm a photographer. So,
But technically you are a photographer, right? So there's
right,
nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding that it's going to be very difficult for you to charge top dollar
right,
if you're just doing that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Enjoy your craft, enjoy photography. But I think, I don't know, you should want to master your craft. Whatever it is you do, you should want to master it. It doesn't have to just be photography. Whatever we're talking about, you're a programmer in corporate America, you should want to be the best you can be. Well, I think
right,
the same holds true for photography. You should want to be the best you should be. That means learning all this new lighting, learning all the new posing, right? And of course, I'm being very self-promoting towards my course here with you guys, but you should want to learn that stuff. Now, what you take from it and implement into your business, that's what I like to call season to taste, right? If I show you a way to light a scene, you don't have to go do the exact thing I'm doing, but it should get you thinking, get you excited to go, that's pretty fucking cool. I want to do that in my business, but I'm going to put a different slant on it. That's to me what art is all about. I mean, is anything really fully original anymore? It's just not. Everybody's kind of stealing from somebody, but then putting their own kind of slant on it. And that's great. It's called evolution, right?
right,
So continue to evolve your brand and your look and feel, and you'll always be looking forward versus worrying about what's behind you, right? Photographers can be a very petty bunch. And I'm no matter who you talk to, they'll in what industry, they'll tell you, well, every industry is like that. And it is, but we live in the photography world. And in the photography world, in your local Facebook groups or whatever, everybody in this chat has probably felt that heat, right? That you get from your local photography group that you're doing something that's different. They're going to throw shade at you. They're going to talk shit about you. They're going to spread rumors about you. I've been dealing with this for 17 years. I always look at it this way. If I wasn't doing something that was forward, that was moving forward, nobody'd be worried about talking about me or right taking shots at me because I wouldn't be relevant. So if you're in your market and people are taking shots at you or talking shit about your business, your studio, don't let that shit get you down. Let that shit be fire for you to go that, hey, we're doing something right. All right. So let's keep moving forward, charge down that path.
right. And actually, let me chime in really quick.
Are we
So,
doing a 2-hour webinar, Andre? Because this could go on forever.
it could, you come on and then all of a sudden there's like 6 million questions or whatever, right? But as someone who like I feel like I'm, a permanent fixture at Shutterfest, right? So Shutterfest, I did a discount for the Shutterfesters who wanted to come to the Boca Summit. So I'm actually going to revive that. I'm going to bring back the Shutterfest 150 code. It'll be $150 off for registration, right?
That's awesome.
We're gonna run that until tomorrow for those people that want to sign up. But then after that, it will be code Sal for the $100 off. Now, um, Brody did have a question that I wanted to tackle. He was asking, how is Boca differentiating itself from other events and what motivates you to bring this summit to life? So, Brody, I can say I met Brody at Obscura a few years back, right? And had a conversation. Brody ended up coming to my workshop in Atlanta like a couple of months later. Now, with that, I mean, hopefully you were able to see in there, Brody, that my goal is to take things and like elevate it, right? To give something different. A regular conference experience has to appeal to the masses. No matter what, we're never going to get away from the people that show up, just bought a camera yesterday, and it's like, how you turn this shit on? You know what I'm saying, right? But you know, me, the biggest thing for me was when I started, I literally built my entire wedding portfolio at Shutterfest 2015. Shutterfest was in March that year. I shot 34 weddings that year off of photos. It originated from photos that I took at Shutterfest. Now,
That's amazing.
moving forward, obviously, like those are couples portraits and things like that, right? But moving forward, I wanted to appeal to a more luxe market. If you've seen my work, you've seen the maternity stuff that I do with these elaborate floral setups and these, big, fancy receptions. I'm literally decorating a 4,000 square foot ballroom to teach reception lighting, right? So Brody, the setup that we did for the workshop with 10 people on steroids, right? So in terms of the vignettes that we have set up, if I'm shooting clients that are paying $3,000 and $4,000 for floral setups for maternity sessions, you guys will get the opportunity to shoot that stuff too, to be able to add it to your portfolio. At the end of the day, we want to be able to take away as much as we can from these conferences and from these workshops and things of that nature to help us get to the next level. I cater to a Lux crowd, a Lux audience. So I'm giving attendees the ability to be able to add that stuff to their portfolio as well.
That's awesome.
So let's see. Let's dive in. Are there any more questions that you saw that you wanted to pull out, or you want me to just
Yeah,
kind
a
of dive
combination
through it?
of Sophia and then Jasmine Jane. Hit me with both of those. So, Sophia, do you find cords for continuous lights to be limiting in studio? The lights we're using from Nanlite are both corded and battery powered. And that's one of the main reasons I do like them, because it allows me to do things like outdoor shoots at dusk where I'm still using continuous lights. But it also allows me to have a cords free environment in the studio, because there is nothing worse than being in studio and trying to roll around your lighting and you've got cords all over the place. So I don't want to say all of Nanlite's lights are battery powered, but for the series that we're talking about, most of the Nanlite, the Pavo tubes, and their 60s and 200s, they all run on battery as well. So I think you'll really like that. Jasmine had a good question too. I have trouble keeping my soft light soft. I'm great at dramatic lighting. Hey, I was born with dramatic lighting. That's my favorite to go with. How do you keep it so consistent? So what I find with continuous lights is it can get, this is why I said this earlier on with continuous light for studio. If you go back 5 years ago, most of the continuous light sources were meant for either Hollywood films, not really for photography. So the soft boxes were limited to a certain extent, unless you were like in a very, very expensive product line, from other lighting companies. Now you've got companies like Nanlite, companies like Westcott, and many others that are producing smaller light sources, but they've got adapters so that you can use some of the very same soft boxes that we use on our studio strobes that will fit on the continuous lights. And I think that's part of what you're referring to, Jasmine. So we'll have a giant octabox that we're using for continuous light, because it's going to give us such a large light source and therefore a softer look and feel. Sure, you can go with continuous light and get a really hard edge light, which I love as well. But I think it's easier. Let me see, I want to say this right. Easier to get hard light than it is to get soft light. But I think if you start getting these larger light sources, like I'm talking about, I think you'll be very happy with the end results.
Yeah,
How
like
about Maurice's. Go ahead, man.
Let me chime in real quick. So, like, if you saw the creative series, you knew that I went home for the doomed. What's the name?
I fought for you, Andre. I fought. I was on camera. I was on the record. I fought for you.
the optical spot, right? So now, for those who don't know, I mean, we had some tech issues, right? And it like killed the shit out of me. But Nanlite makes one for constant light that I use all the time. There's images more recently on my Instagram page. You'll be able to see it there. I love that thing, and I love to be able to use the hard light with it. Now, it is massive. It is super massive. I use it with a Nanlite 300, but it'll give you fantastic images. So definitely check that out if you have a
I mean, the
chance.
Nanlite 300, that's a big dog. I use it with the 60.
But I have the bigger one. No, I have
Yeah.
they make two. They make a small one and a bigger
Yeah.
one. I have
Why
the
you keep
big.
saying bigger? Like, why you keep saying you're bigger than me? I feel like,
It comes in a big black case, Sal.
Andre, you trying to get me canceled. I'm not touching your big black case.
Oh shit, that's
No,
funny. But
sir.
no, it comes in like if you look it up, I don't know what the part number is, but you can actually change the lenses out. They have two different lenses that you swap out, but I haven't seen the one that you're talking about.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, the projector that Andre's talking about, these are like a gobo, right? So it allows you to put patterns in there. It allows you to, to create a small circle, a triangle, just all sorts of things like that. And they make them for their multitude of light sources. So with the 300 watts of power as a big light, and of course, what's going to end up happening is the unit is going to be equally as large. The one I'm referring to is a much smaller footprint. So if you have a dark studio where you can kind of control light, or a hotel room or things like that, the one I'm referring to is the 60, and it's 60 watts of power. And so I would say the light would end up being about maybe this large, to give you perspective. That would be the width of the light, right? Not the full unit. And then the projector is probably a little bit longer. Holy shit, Andre, that thing is huge.
It's massive, man. Like, so it comes in this case. It's heavy as shit too.
Yeah, not exactly portable.
Not exactly portable. I try to wheel it whenever I can. So yeah. Let's see, where are we at with questions here?
They're good questions coming in.
Maurice, how long did it take you to learn lighting? What medium did you use to learn lighting? And were there photographers that you modeled yourself after when learning?
I love this question. How long did it take me to really learn lighting? I'm still learning, Maurice. That's how I feel. I've never, anybody who's been around me or worked with me, whether it's at a workshop or just side by side as a second shooter or something like that, I'm very curious about our craft and what we do. So I find things that I'm very comfortable with from a lighting perspective, but then I try to make sure that 20 or 30% of the time I'm experimenting with light. And so there's a method to that madness. I'm of the mindset I'm willing to fail. If failing helps me become better, and I think that is the only way you become better, fail and fail fast, right? And I think as photographers and artists, we become very afraid of failure. We become afraid of rejection. But I really think that's part of the process. And so what I tend to do is I'm committed to learning, to mastering my craft, to trying new things, but I also know I have to deliver a final product to my clients. So usually 70%, if we're talking weddings, 70, 80% of a wedding day is clockwork, right? Boom, boom, here's what we got to do. But then 20, 30% of the day, I'm going to experiment. I might shoot through things. I might try different lighting setups, all sorts of different things, trying to learn and trying to make a good image. Now, if I stumble onto something, then I start practicing it. And then I work it into my normal routine.
Right.
So I think I know the heart of what you're asking me is like, how long was it before I became confident or proficient in lighting? I would say it probably took me, I know this is going to sound like a crazy answer, but I really do feel like it took me a solid 5 to 7 years before I felt like you could be the person that Andre's talking about, where I can walk into a room and then just like fucking Mad Max, just go. But I want to say it took me a solid 5 to 7 years to where I understood lighting ratios. I understood, depth of field. I understood light fall, like all those kinds of things that become very technical, which is why I love teaching so much, where I take something that's very technical and try to simplify it so that we can understand it. Like the inverse square law of light. Like, this is why photography was fucking complicated, because they just started saying and doing shit like that. And you don't need to. Photography doesn't need to be that complicated. I'd rather see people's creative side come out and not let the tools, lighting, camera, posing, the tools of our trade should never get in the way of the shot, right? I want you to be, and that's what we're going to be working on in this class. I want you to feel free to create, free to fail and experiment. And then you'll be surprised, man. 90% of the time, when you're just experimenting and you don't worry about failing, you create some really cool shit.
100%. Definitely 100%. Like, that's what do they call them? Happy accidents.
Yes.
Like, sometimes,
Those
man,
are my favorite.
just come up with some cool stuff. Let's see, Pamela, your question is something similar. Sal and Andre, how long did it take you to get lighting under your belt? Yeah, I mean, we pretty much covered that. Okay, here we go. Sheena, do you feel like you need to have a lot more gear with you when you shoot continuous or less?
Definitely have more gear with you for sure when you're shooting continuous light. But I would say you're going to have more gear with you whenever you're using an artificial light source. So if you're comparing artificial light to natural light, right, that could be strobe, continuous, you're going to have more shit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love when we're going someplace and it's all going to be available light, outdoors, natural light. I might bring one FJ200 with me that I'm using bare bulb. Oh boy, that's a much nicer travel kit, if you will, than if I've got a corporate job or I'm going to a hotel room for a boudoir shoot or anything along those lines. Man, well, I might need this. I might need that. I might need this. The next thing you know, I got a fucking SUV loaded with shit. And then you're like those people who are walking around with the shopping cart filled with gear just to get it on the elevator. I mean, you definitely are going to need more gear. But with that extra gear, you have a lot more creative control than you would with just, or creative opportunities, I should say, than you would with just natural light.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, where are we with the next one? You see continuous, like, okay, cool. Do you see continuous light being the new go-to for portraits and studio work?
I do personally. We're making a big investment on it. If you're watching us work or any of our YouTube videos, you'll see more and more we're using continuous lights. Anything that's at dusk outdoors, you're also seeing me use continuous lights for that because it'll power it. So I find that continuous lighting right now gives me a lot more color creativity. What do I mean by that? Well, color creativity is, we just use normal light. That's what we've been doing for years. And then every once in a while, we'd get crazy and we'd be like, I'm going to put a little blue in the shadows. So then you gel up a light and you'd start fucking around with gels to get something to look cool in the shadows. And that was it. And it would take you a lot of time to get to that point. Well, now with these lighting kits that are RGB, they're full color spectrum. So now you can have daylight balanced, tungsten balanced lights, but in addition, you flip a switch and I've got the entire RGB scale available to me. So
Right.
now when I want to add a blue or a purple or a red, I'm flipping a switch, turning a dial, and what you see is what you get. And that to me is very, very empowering and gives me a level of control that, yes, while I could do that with strobes, it would take me to say it would take 3 to 4 times longer, I think is an understatement. It would take significantly longer to get to that same shot dialed in.
100%. Yeah, because I was explaining that to the model I was shooting yesterday. They were like, "Oh, do you ever use strobes?" I'm like, I use strobes all the time.
Yeah.
That continuous helps me get there faster. Like if I want to make little slight adjustments, I might have gone too far with the flash and then I got to pull it back. And there's like that testing process, right? But again, what you see is what you get, and it helps you get to that result a lot faster.
I mean, we're talking about lighting, and that's always important. But I think it's understanding the bigger mission and how lighting plays into that. And it's just impossible for me to talk about anything photography related and not loop in business. I think business, marketing, and when I say marketing, yeah, of course, traditional marketing, Facebook advertising, things like that, that's very important. But your imagery that you are creating through the use of lighting and posing is your marketing. That is your calling card, guys. So you should, my philosophy has always been, when I'm looking at, look, we all go to these trade shows and we all get wide-eyed and we all spend more money than we should on new gear, and that's fine. But my philosophy when I'm doing that is, can this tool help me make more money? If it can, 9.5 out of 10 times, I'm going to buy it, because I know it'll pay dividends back, because I know maybe my competitors don't have this tool yet. They're not using it yet. So that gives me a different look or feel for my imagery. That's the key there, is understanding that your imagery, your lighting, your posing, your editing, that final image is your best calling card for your business. And so really all the time, we should be experimenting with this stuff.
I think that's an awesome segue. I know we don't have a ton of time left because I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you're also going to be teaching the 12-month marketing plan
That's right.
at Boca Photo Summit, like during lunch. So during a lunch and learn. Now, I wasn't a part of it at Shutter as I was teaching at that time, right? So I didn't get a chance to like check it out. But I do know everything that you guys have going on with, Disruptor, and that sort of thing. So if you do you want to touch on that, and the fact that as as for those people who are coming into Disruptor and signing up in terms of like wedding photography and stuff, soon my templates will be available for them to be able to utilize on the platform as
That's right.
well. So there are a few marketing questions in there, so we'll kind of like just kind of touch on marketing a little bit, that way we can kind of clear out those.
Yeah. So when it comes to the 12-month marketing plan, right, you've got to have people in your studio, coming through your studio year round. And so the one thing I try to impress upon everybody that has held true for my entire career, it's usually about 30 to 45 days from the time you start marketing to the time you see cash in hand from that marketing. And I think a lot of creatives don't understand this, and they wait until there's no money left in the bank account to go, shit, I need to start marketing. And that is the biggest mistake I think a business owner, not just a photographer, can make. Why 30 to 45 days? Let's say tomorrow you wake up and you go, I'm going to market for Boudoir. Great. You got to get your images together. You got to get your Facebook campaign together. You got to turn it on. You got to create your landing pages. You got to create your email sequences, on and on and on. Maybe you do that overnight, but you're not going to. But let's say you do. Now you turn on your ads. Nobody is going to shoot within 24 hours of seeing your ad, right? So typically, from the time someone sees your ad, clicks on it, contacts you, gets on a phone call, it's 2 weeks before you shoot them. I think conservatively. Now you shoot them in 2 weeks. It takes about 2 weeks before they come back into your studio for an IPS session, which you should be doing in-person sales. Your sales numbers will be 3x or more higher doing in-person sales versus just online. But that's a conversation for another day. Well, right there, you're at 30 plus days from turning on marketing to seeing cash in the bank. And that's why I say 30 to 45 days. All that being said, we created, and many of the people on this chat comments are in our platform called Disruptor Marketing, which does all of this for you. Emails have been written, landing pages created. All of this stuff is preset for photographers, so it's turnkey. There's no other platform like this on the market that has invested what we have. And I really do think this is going to change the business of photography for a lot of photographers out there who go, I don't even know where to start. Here's the platform. Families, boudoir, maternity, headshots, weddings, high school, senior. There are over 50 fully developed campaigns on this platform, and we'll be teaching how to put a 12-month marketing plan together at Boca Academy. So I'm very, very excited for that.
I'm excited too because, one, you already know, like I nerd out on the whole workflow thing, right? Like, especially being one man show, always traveling. Like, I need to have something that's always working for me, no matter what it is I'm doing. If I'm in the
Exactly.
air, email goes out. If I'm shooting like I was all day yesterday, emails and communications go out. And I don't think that people understand that like how important that is. Like years ago, I was talking to a photographer friend of mine who lives in the DC area, which was a market that had a lot of great wedding photographers, and it was really competitive. And she told me literally the difference between them booking somebody and not booking somebody is who responds first.
It's
Everybody's
100% accurate.
work, everybody's work was on par with one another, so you couldn't really. And
No, but here's the thing, Andre, to your point, photographers think we're different than everybody else, right? Oh, I'm better than Andre. Andre's not better than me. Like I see that in my local market. I've seen it my whole lifetime. Like, well, they charge more money than me, but he's not better than me. It doesn't fucking matter. Like at the end of the day, perception is reality. And you have to understand that your clients, that's who matters, not you, not your mom, right? As far as my mom's concerned, Mama C thinks I'm the best there ever was. So at the end of the day, perception's reality. So what does that really mean? Your client cannot tell the fucking difference that you were shooting with a Fuji camera or a Canon camera, or whether you used a 50 millimeter 1.2 or a 50 millimeter 1.8. They either like what they see or they don't. After your clients narrow that list down to here's 3 photographers I like, 5 photographers I like, now it comes down to service. Now it comes down to response time. And so if I respond to a client in less than 2 hours, right, because my marketing system is set up for that, for automated emails, for follow-up, for texting, if I do that, I have a higher chance of converting than the guy who waits 3 days because he was away for the weekend. And I'll share this true story. We booked a wedding. I've told this story for years because it was such a big impact on my philosophy. We get this request for an Indian wedding. It comes in at about 10 o'clock at night. And I respond within 15 minutes. Now, I'm not encouraging everybody here to say, I got to respond if a client emails me at 1 o'clock in the morning. I happen to be on email and I respond in 15 minutes. She responds right after that. She's like, thank you so much for responding. I'm like, why don't we get on it was Skype at the time. This is an older story. I'm like, why don't we just get on Skype and I'll walk you through everything. She's like, well, I don't have Skype. I don't know how to use it. I get on a phone call with her, help her download and install Skype, get on that Skype call with her. She tells me on that call, she goes, do you know, I've reached out to over 10 different photographers and in a week, no one has gotten back to me. She goes, you're the first person to get back to me. Not only does she end up booking us, she spends on her wedding and engagement sessions combined almost $25,000. This client has been my client for 10 years. Every other year, they come back through our studio and spend about $3,000 to $4,000 on family portraits, right? All because I responded quickly. That's how important your marketing is. And that is marketing and sales. That's how important that is to winning the business and making money. Now, look, you don't want to make money. You don't give a shit about money. You just want to do this for the love of it. That's great. Do it. No harm, no foul. I'm not throwing shade your way. But if you want to actually make money, you want to quit your job, you want to do the dream, right? Which is working for yourself, doing what you love, making your own hours, controlling your own destiny. That's not everybody's dream. That's some people's nightmare. But if that's what you want, at the end of the day, it's there for you. You just have to put the marketing plan together. You've got to understand how to run your business. And that is something I am massively passionate about because I love our craft. I love our industry. And if it were up to me, everybody who's on this chat, everybody who comes, who learns from me, whether it's on YouTube or at Shutterfest, I want you to make as much money as you want to make. You want to make 100 grand a year? I want to help you make it. You want to make $500,000 a year? I want to help you make it because I think we have the best jobs in the world. We create happy memories for our clients. What could be better than that? I sure as fuck don't think it's pushing around Excel spreadsheets, shit like that. So anyway.
And like, even to that point, so if any of you are in here that took my 60K in 60 days class at Shutterfest, I showed you guys the slides, like the stuff straight from 17 Hats. Last year, I was at Creator Series, and everything is on automation. I generated more than $50,000 in my business in that short amount of time. Right
That's
now,
awesome.
and it was over the now. I wasn't there that entire time, but it kind of kicked off when I was there. And then I like left the country after that. But it was like 53,000 over the course of 9 days. Now, does this happen all the time for me? No. It's an anomaly in the grand scheme of things, right? Where you get 53 grand in that short amount of time. But the framework works, and that's all that matters, whether that's 10 or 20,000. If you do that 4 or 5 times a year or whatever, like that's gravy, right? And it's all about being able to put things in motion to make your business work for you, so that you're not, day to day same little mundane tasks. So keep
That's
that in mind.
exactly right. I'm going through the I know we're getting short on time here, so I'm gonna do like power questions, Andre. I'm just kind of scrolling through. I'm gonna
Cool.
try and get to everybody's questions.
Look on
Um,
Star. Do you see Star? You can see the one.
I do not see starred.
Got it. Okay, because I kind of separated them out of the other stuff. So
Recording. Oh no, I see starred top right. All right, here we go. I got it. I'm going off starred.
cool.
Jay Banks. I want to do creator series. How do you audition for the next one? So this is funny with creator series. I'm gonna tell another true story. I was at imaging this year, and I was walking Bethany Ellen to get her award. She asked me to walk her, and some guy walks up to me. I have no fucking idea who it is, but right, he knows me. Whether it's from, you get that because YouTube or creator series, and he's just looking at me, and he starts kind of like pointing at me, but he's not smiling, right? So I don't know what the fuck's coming. Like I take shit on a daily basis. So I don't know. Are you friend or foe right now? Are we fucking throwing or is this? And he's like, creator series. And I just start fucking cracking up laughing. He's like, you did Andre dirty, man. And I'm like, hey, bro, you saw who I voted for. You watched that whole segment. He's like, I'm just saying, man, you did Andre dirty. And he fucking walked away. I'm like, okay. So I thought that shit was funny. Okay. Creator series. We are working on we're working on a couple of cool things. We're working on season 3, but we're also working on a creator series all-stars where we bring back certain people from each season to be part of the all-stars. So that will happen after season 3, but we've got a bunch of plans in place. There'll be a huge amount of promotion around applying for it. So I'm glad that's the question. Dan or Don, sorry if I'm misreading that. Are you still using Westcott? Yes, absolutely. We still use Westcott strobes. They're FJ200s, they're 400s. Absolutely love them. They're portable. I think Westcott light modifiers are some of the best on the market. I love Manny Ortiz's beauty dish. Joel Grimes has got a cool beauty dish, but they're compact. They collapse. We can put them in suitcases when we're traveling, much easier than some of the other light modifiers out there. Marvin, what about constant light in a non-studio setting? Yeah, this is a great question. So Marvin, this is why I'm still using strobes. You're not going to be able to go outside at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and use continuous lights. You could, if you decide to invest in like probably a $10,000 or $20,000 Hollywood studio strobe and a power generator. but that's not practical for any of us. So if it's dusk or an overcast day, I'll go out with continuous light before I go out with strobe because it's just beautiful. But for the most part, if we're doing anything outdoors or in overly bright conditions, I'm using studio strobes. Melvina, do you feel like you can soften the light with continuous lights? 100%. Nan Light specifically, they have huge octa boxes that you can use. And believe it or not, they're Pavo tubes, which are these long, skinny tubes. I'm looking around because I had one here earlier. These long, skinny tubes. Long, skinny tubes. They put out softer light than you would imagine that they would. But yes, you absolutely can with their octa boxes get soft light for sure. Jay Banks, what's a good pricing strategy for boudoir photography? Oh man, Jay Banks, we could do an entire other webinar on what I believe should be happening in boudoir. Right. Let me tell you what I don't like. And as someone who's making a heavy push into boudoir photography with our studio right now, one of the things I do not like and I don't believe in, and I know I'm going to get heat from the boudoir establishment on this, I don't like same-day sales. I feel like you're cheapening your work, and I don't like selling digital only. And so that's all I can really say there. I believe in giving your clients a full experience. I believe in only showing your clients fully retouched images, and you can't do that when you're trying to turn it in an hour or 2 hours, or you're like, go get a cup of coffee, go have dinner, then come back. Like me and Alyssa, from a consumer perspective, right? Alyssa just went through and had a boudoir session. And so it was easy for her to step back and go, what kind of experience do I want to give my clients? Think about this for a second. You want clients who have money to spend, right? That means they're busy. That means they're working. They have jobs. You know what I don't have fucking time for? Not me personally, but you know what Alyssa doesn't have fucking time for is to sit there, get there an hour before the shoot for hair and makeup, maybe more, 2 hours on the shoot, go fuck off for 2 hours at dinner or coffee or whatever, and then come back for another hour and a half or 2 hour preview. You're asking people, high-end clients, to have 6 to 8 hours to commit to you in a one-time block. That to me does not seem reasonable. And I'm sure many of you have success. I don't want to hear about it. My belief is that we are going to offer product to our clients, albums, prints. Yes, and I get it. Nobody wants to have giant picture behind the wall of tits and ass out. You know, hey, mom and dad, look at, don't shoot it that way, right? Shoot things that are more fine art. This could be a 1 hour conversation just on this alone. So I clearly have opinions about this. We'll talk more. Jay Banks. All right, Paige. When did you know you were confident enough to start charging? Oh man, that is a great question. It was. How about this? I flipped this on you. When did I finally feel that I was worth what I was charging? I knew early on I had to charge money because I had bills to pay, right? I quit my job in corporate America. I knew I wanted to do this. And within 6 months of quitting my job, I was looking at bankruptcy. And that's enough to get you to charge, right? I had a certain amount of savings in the bank. I thought I was going to be fine. And I burned through that in 6 months. And all of a sudden I got car payment, house payment. And I'm like, I'm about to lose everything if I don't figure this shit out. So I started charging very early on, but I will tell you, I started charging a lot of money and I was shocked at how much people were willing to say yes to. And that took me a solid 10 years of my career to get used to, where I wasn't suffering from imposter syndrome, right? And I think creatives, we all suffer from that. Don't feel like you're alone in that. To this day, sometimes I still feel imposter syndrome with everything we're doing. And I think it's just natural as a creative, but you got to realize you've got a business to run, you've got a family to provide for, you've got equipment to buy. And what are you worth? You're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay. And it's up to you to figure out what that ceiling is. And that'll take you a little bit of time, but start charging immediately for your work. Jasmine, getting clients who want to pay my rates. What networking techniques do you recommend to find my ideal client? I love this question on so many levels. Jasmine, first of all, fuck networking. Networking is, I have found to be useless. I'm not a fan of planners. I'm not a fan of these BMI style groups. And the reason is simple. I want to control my own destiny, right? And that's where marketing comes in, Jasmine. So if you want to know, that's where I think something like disruptor marketing is what you should be part of, because you now control your own destiny. Yeah, self-serving in my answer. I get it, but I believe it and I mean it. I'd rather see you invest in marketing and pushing your own business through tried and true practices than relying on connections or referrals or things like that. Don't get me wrong. Any referrals, great, right? I look at that as a bonus. Any networking or connections I have, I always look at that as a bonus. But the minute your business is fully tied to that, you run the risk of that person leaving. I think about weddings. I was connected all throughout St. Louis. COVID hits. 90% of the people I was connected with for weddings are gone. So now I got to start all over again. That's why I think you've got to control your own destiny, Jasmine. All right, Victoria. What do you suggest for intermediate level photographies that don't have a Nanlite budget? Honestly, I don't think Nanlite is overly expensive unless you're looking at some of the larger pieces. I think as far as their product goes, I think you can get some pretty inexpensive tools to go with. Granted, if you want to get the soft boxes and things like that, that's going to be expensive no matter who you're looking at. Godox is out there, but they're not a U.S. company, and I get it. I'm not trying to tell you, die on that sword where I'm like U.S. America, made in America. I get it. You gotta buy what works for your business and your wallet, of course. But you want to look to companies like Westcott and Nanlite, where you've got at least U.S. connections to service you. So look at Westcott, look at Nanlite, but I don't think there's a big price difference in the two off the top of my head. But maybe Victoria, it's just the product that you're looking at. Look at the Pavo tubes. 2 Pavo tubes, I think, are under $1,000 if you get those. The 4-foot Pavo tubes, and you can do some really killer stuff with just 2 of those tubes. Yeah. And by the way, Victoria, hopefully you're coming to Boca Academy. Hopefully all you guys are going to take advantage of the special Andre had. I will show you how to use these Pavo tubes to get some really killer stuff in the class we're teaching. Deshaun, my man, I love Deshaun. All right, Sal, are you using any AI for composites? Really good question. We are not. So somebody like Laura Dark, who's in here and on Creator Series as well, she's an alum. She'll use stuff created by AI. I am not. So I'm not a big composite guy, not because I'm anti-composite or anti-AI. It's just not, it's not part of my repertoire, if you will. So mostly what we're shooting is either on an actual backdrop or on location, with more outdoor and environmental. That's my style of photography. It's what we've become known for. But I got to be honest with you, when I look at stuff like you or Laura Create or anybody who's doing that kind of AI hybrid, I'm in constant awe of how beautiful some of that stuff is. To me, selling that stuff is the difficult part, right? Like, how do you get clients to want to buy that stuff? Those should be commissioned pieces that you're selling that are very unique and specific to a client. So I don't know that you can run a whole photo shoot that way, but maybe that's something that's an add-on to a photo shoot. So that'd be a good conversation for like a business webinar, how to incorporate AI and photography into a sales process, right? Because if you can't sell it, it's not really going to help your business.
Right.
How do I feel about off-camera flash? Love off-camera flash. Wedding days, I'm using that all the time, right? High school seniors, I'm using off-camera flash. Big fan of it, but it goes back to what I'm saying. Use your lighting skill to separate yourself from the competition. Your competitors want to go out there and just use natural light or open shade. Again, nothing wrong with it, but it's not going to stand out as much. What I like to do on any given day, if I'm doing a high school senior shoot, I've got my normal camera kit, my bag, I've got a reflector, and I've got an off-camera flash of some sort. Could be a FJ200, it could be an FJ80. I rarely need more than that, and a softbox or bare bulb, right? So it's a very small kit, but each scene will require something different. So if I just want a little kiss of light to lift up their exposure, maybe maybe my client's got deep set eyes. If you put a client with deep set eyes in open shade, their eyes are just going to go black, raccoon eyes, and nobody wants that. Nobody's going to be like, I love the way I look in that. That's where you need a little bit of that light to just lift all that stuff up. So I'm a big fan of it. Definitely not something I'm giving up on just because I'm using continuous in studio. Let's see, who's this? Tara, Disruptor website says headshots, family, maternity are coming soon. Tara, that will be live in the next 10 days. So boudoir, and it'll take you a few days just to get your account set up, get your phone number set up, get your texting set up. And there's all videos that walk you through. Could not be easier to get yourself set up. But those will be in the next 10 days. Those will be live. So you will love the platform for sure. All right, next question. We got 2 left. We're doing it, man. Sheena, I have a full-time career outside of photography, but would love to make more with my photography business. How can I find a good balance between the two and get more clients? Sheena, I'm here to tell you, as somebody who started out that way 17 years ago, I was at Microsoft. I worked in corporate, and it was a full-time career, making really good money, as you can imagine, at a company like that. And slowly but surely, I started getting busier and busier in photography. And it gets to a point where you've got to make a decision. Now, I say all that, things have changed. You have a lot more support out there to outsource things, right? So if you know you're going to stay in your corporate job and you're happy and you got benefits and all that other good stuff, you just want to make more on photography. So what you have to figure out a way to do is to offload all of the items that are consuming your time, right? What do I mean by that? The only way you're making more money in photography is if you're shooting more, right? Yeah, we can finesse your pricing, but you got to shoot more, get more volume through. But we all know what's going to happen. The more you shoot, the more money you're going to make, the more images you're going to create that you have to edit, the more client communication you're going to have. So you need to look at tools like 17 Hats that can automate client communication. You need to look at outsourcing some of your post-production to a company like Evolve Edits, where you can just say, I'm going to shoot and I'm going to let my partners handle the rest. They're going to handle the editing. They're going to handle client communication, et cetera, et cetera. That would be the way I would do this, Sheena, so that, yeah, you could do it all your own, but you don't have time. Time is the biggest issue for you right now. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, 2 more questions. Marvin, what are the best things you can do for marketing immediately? So whenever I'm looking at marketing immediately, like I need fast money, the one thing I like to do are enter to win campaigns, right? Enter to win a free shoot is something I love doing, been doing it for years. It has worked for years. It gets me what I'll call fast cash, right? A wedding, for example, if you book a wedding today, it's 6 months to a year before you see that money. But if I book an enter to win free family session and I schedule that, right? Enter to win a free family session, and I schedule that in the next 2 weeks or 30 days because I run an enter to win family session in June, right? I'm going to see money quick. If I do an enter to win a free engagement session or enter to win a free boudoir session, what I'm giving away is the session fee, which is funny money. And where I'm making my money is whatever they buy. And that strategy has worked for many photographers that I've taught over the years. It's worked for our own business over the years. And so that's something that I would do. And by the way, Marvin, all of that is already built out on the Disruptor marketing platform, which, to answer the last question from Nicole, what is Disruptor? Disruptor marketing is a business platform that I'm pissed I didn't get started on sooner in my career. We've been teaching photographers the facets of business and marketing for as long as I can remember. I can go back to my earliest Creative Live appearances, and business and marketing were always part of that. But it required photographers to go out and do all the work. You had to go create the landing pages. You had to go create the marketing assets. You had to write the emails, the copy, etc. Disruptormarketing.io, all of that is built into the platform for you. So we've taken all that work out of it for you. All you need to do is turn on your Facebook marketing and you're going to be off to the races. So I really do hope we get some of you guys from this to check it out. We'll be at the Boca Academy. I hope you join us for our course on lighting there and our 12-month marketing plan. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Andre, thank you for having me on this webinar. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And, of course, thank you for trusting me enough to have me at your event. It's an honor for sure.
Nah, man, I definitely appreciate it. Like I said, for me, it is 1000% full circle. I got my start at Shutter literally both as an attendee at a conference and as a well, we getting feedback somewhere. But yeah, as an attendee and as a speaker. So, I
So,
definitely
Andre, sorry to cut you off. What you're saying just rings true to my heart, because what a lot of people don't understand about Shutterfest or the community or the crazy people that are Shutterfest is we are so big on building from within. And you're the perfect example of that. You started as an attendee and you worked your way up to be a staple there. Somebody's there, and now you're growing past that, and you're doing something really cool too that I'm honored to be part of. But I think I'm super competitive as a person. Don't get me wrong. If we're competing head to head, I want to fucking destroy you. That is my mindset. But I'm also really big on community and building the people from within and helping them reach their dreams. So there's nothing wrong with being competitive. And I come from a world of sports, right? I played sports in high school. I played sports in college. On the field, you're trying to win. You're trying to beat each other, right? But when the game's over, we're grabbing a drink. We're high-fiving. And I think that's very difficult for a lot of creatives to wrap their head around, that you can be competitive but still be community focused. And I think that's the difference. And so I love your story. We've got so many like you at Shutterfest who've come up from the ranks that we've given that opportunity to. And I mean, their stars have just exploded. And so it's been really cool for me to be part of that over my career and see the impact we've had on the industry of photography over the years. It's been a lot of fun.
For sure. Well, we're going to do this giveaway really quickly. So let me share my screen. I feel like
this is a legit giveaway.
Right. Legit giveaway. All everybody, no magic hands, no tricky fingers here, right? Because then people will be like, oh, Andre won his own giveaway, shit like that.
Yeah. Hey, maybe I'm gonna win the giveaway. I mean, then the fix will really be in.
Oh, I should put your name in here for shits and giggles.
You should. And then when my name comes up, we can start a brand new Reddit thread on that. That'll be good.
1000%. Let's do it. Fuck it.
Oh, I am in there. I can't wait.
How fucking funny.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh no. I thought I was gonna win.
Chris.
All right, Chris Grande, baby. You want a ticket? You're going to Disneyland. You're coming to the Boca Academy, not Bouquet Academy, Boca Academy.
Right. So, Chris, I'll be in touch, so we could discuss all of that. But I thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Sal, for making some time. Just so you guys know, code SF150 will be good until tomorrow, like literally not even full tomorrow, midnight. That's where you get $150 off of the registration from any of the ticket prices that you choose to select from. And Sal, everybody hopes to see you there. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Later.
Thanks for having me, man.